Welcome back to Ferocious Education. This is Zed. Today, we're going to be talking about Ethereum, going with the ticker ATER. We'll discuss the last changes happening since our video from around 2-3 weeks ago, and we're going to talk about technical analysis and where we're moving from here forward. So without further ado, let's jump right into this one. So Ethereum. Now this ticker, again, we talked about it before, so my last video is in the description below, but just a quick summary: they build, acquire, and partner with brands leveraging proprietary software and agile supply chain to create a top-selling consumer products. And we took a look into some of their products previously, including in a wide range of array of products that we've seen. Now, some of the latest news includes the one on October 1st, 2021. It's a little bit outdated, and I'll go towards some of their fundamentals and their flow discussions that has been going around. But first off, this here, they basically said that Ethereum continues to invest in e-commerce, innovation, and diversifying its revenue streams, exemplified by our launch of Deal Mojo. Now, the co-founder and CEO said, through Deal Mojo, sellers on Amazon can connect directly with publishers, influencers, and other affiliate marketers to promote their Amazon listing and drive more sales to their Amazon storefront. We initially created Deal Mojo to streamline our business with publishers and are already working with leading online sites with aggregate monthly traffic of more than 300 million monthly visitors. We're now opening up Deal Mojo in beta to sellers who want access to improved traffic and contents for their brands. So this is about their product and their platform for affiliate marketing on Deal Mojo, or affiliate platform Deal Mojo marketing. And Ethereum reaches agreement with lender to pay down its term loan debt. And that's another thing that we've seen back on September 23rd. We talked about this as well, the second quarter of 2021 results, and dove deeply within that. So if you would like to see more contents like this before moving on forward, make sure to click the subscribe button on the bottom right corner and leave notifications on for this channel. Also, don't forget to drop a like to this video, as it really does help boost my channel up. And if you would like to join the discussion or ask me any questions, you can do so in the description below, totally free. It's just more of a chat room for people following this channel. Now, on other things that we want to take a look at, first is their balance sheets. So their current trend for cash and short-term investments from 2017 all the way to 2020, you're seeing somewhat of an increase from 2017 to 2018, and then 2018 to 2019, and kind of stabilizing down a little. Now, if we were to take a look into the quarterly results, the value of their cash and short-term investments has doubled in quarter 2 2021 in comparison to quarter 1 2021. Now, this is also in relations to warrants being exercised, offerings, yada yada. So there's definitely a massive increase there, almost double their cash and short-term investments. In terms of the total current assets, that has really went exponential from around $60,000, actually that's in thousands, 60 million in quarter 2 2020 to around 166 million in quarter 2 2021. Almost 3 times as much their total current assets. Now, in terms of the net intangibles, you're able to see currently you're looking at 69 million, and their total assets is currently sitting at 360 million compared to year over year of 62 million, or 61.192. And you get to see that there's continuous increase of their total assets. In terms of the total liabilities, there's also an increase there. You're able to see that year over year we went from around 56 million to 183 million dollars. And another part that we're seeing is that the total equity has actually increased for the stock from around 5 million to 175 million. So that on its own is quite impressive. And if we were to take a look into the revenues, the total revenues have somewhat been stable, closer to around $60 million. Their operating income, however, is around negative at a loss of $25 million. Now, that doesn't really bode well for this company in general, and their net income has been really bad for the last at least 3 quarters compared to the years before. Currently triggering around $36 million, the quarter before $83 million, the quarter before $44 million. So that on its own is a little bit of alarming, and one of the reasons why this stock has been beat up for quite some time. Now, in terms of things like the normalized incomes as well, you're able to see basically the almost exact same trend as what we've seen with the net incomes. And that is expected. Now, the diluted weighted average shares are around 29 million shares, and keep that in mind when we're talking about some key statistics, such as the price over sales and the price over book. The current price over sales is around 162, which is currently below the SP 500 average at 3.17. But keep in mind, this is a yearly kind of metric and not really quarterly. So the changes we've seen in the last 3 quarters hasn't really been included in. Actually, the last 2 quarters are quarter 2 2021 and 2021 quarter 1. These two would be included by the end of the year into that metric, but this here, the TTM, is based on the earnings or sales of 2020. The price over book, however, is 172 and the SP 500 is 471, so technically it is undervalued with these two metrics. And the current short interest as a percentage of the float is 25.54%, so it's somewhat still high, considerably high compared to other stocks. Now, in terms of institutional buyers, we see a good amount of institutional buyers into this one, and currently insider ownership owns around 70.37% of the entire float, although just the ownership in general is around 35%. Now, there's been some circulation of different retail gurus, or whatever you want to call them, financial gurus, quote unquote, and they've been talking about how the entire retail is owning this stock. Technically, that's not true. You got to remember about the insiders' ownership and the institutional buyers that are into this one, such as 9830 MacArthur LLC. They have around 19% of this company, and all these funds that have tapped into this company. So it's definitely not just retail owning the entire float. That statement is not true. In terms of the short shares availability, we're seeing around 350,000 shares available for short selling and borrowing. And the short borrow fee rate is currently around 77.4%, which is incredibly high. So every day that short sellings are holding into this one, they're feeling the burn. And as you get to see, the short selling percentage as the percentage of the entire volume for short volumes versus total volume used to be around high 50s, mid 50s, and now plummeting down to high 20s. So there's definitely been a massive decrease in the short selling activities. Let's move on towards technical analysis now and discuss a little bit further what's going to happen next. In terms of technical analysis, what we're seeing here is that currently things are looking a little bit worse than it did before my last video. So the moving averages are all above the price point. The last one, which is the 50 SMA, which is if it's above there, it's bullish, below there, it's bearish. That's at the 832. Currently, it's hitting around low 8s. And in terms of the ADX, we're not seeing any significant movement. Willing percent R, which is very similar to the relative strength index, is highly oversold, meaning there's a lot more selling activity than buying into this one. And the MACD and momentum are both on the negative side, increasing as we move forward, and that on its own is a little bit of a worrying sign and a bearish sign, if anything. In terms of the stochastic fast and stochastic slow, both are still dipping downwards, but suggesting that we might hit stabilization in the next few days or so, perhaps either Friday or Monday. In terms of the other thing like the moving average bands, what we're seeing in this one is that it's expecting to trade between 1267 and 1037 on the moving average bands, although the Bollinger bands are between 1620 and 684. Now, the last time I drew this trend line, and I said if it does break it, you might actually go ahead and dip forward dip downward, as this trend would be broken. And currently, that actually happened. And what we have is a new trend, a trend line that is going a little bit into the southern region. So we're able to see here on the channel, there's a horrible negative trend that would need to be broken. Now, if I was to show you this one into a 1 hour perspective, right on here, you might be able to see that this trend has the highest level at 1105 and then the bottom at 753, and it changes by the day. It changes almost by day on day. From the start to the end would be day before would be 829 to 799. You can take that percentage and apply it to every day. But basically, we do need to break at least $11 to break this trend out, which is around $3 further north from where we're at right now. Now there is the middle part, which is the middle of the channel, would be 932, so that would be nice as well to break first, and would give you an indication on the price movement. Now, if we were to take a look, let's say in the last 3 months, and use Fibonacci retracements to see where the significant supports and resistances are. The resistance are 918, 1107, 1296, and 1566 on the Fibonacci retracements. Supports are at 684 and 304, although there is some significant supports we need to be very careful of. The 798 is a critical support. Below there, 720, 650, and downwards to 564, and downwards to 442, 395, and 304. And not to forget the 333 one. Resistances. We're taking a look at 894 as the first resistance, 951 above there, 1050 above there, around 1130, and 1185, going a little bit higher around 1364, 1429, around 1666, and 1910. It really comes to the question to Ed, what do you think is going to happen to this one? Well, as we move downwards, if we do break this massive level of support at the 798 and crash downwards to 655, I think this is game over for the time being. Now, some people are trying their best to push this one by trying to convince people to invest into this one because, quote unquote, retail owns the entire float. That is not correct. Now, in terms of fundamentals, they're definitely undervalued from a yearly perspective. In a quarterly perspective, in the last few quarters, there's been some questionable net incomes issues and net losses issues that you got to be very careful of. Once they start fixing that, and hopefully we see a better quarter 3 2021, you might actually start seeing it going back towards the higher levels, but right now there's a fundamental issue with the quarter levels rather than the yearly levels. And if it persists for the next 2 quarters, 2021 price over book and fundamentals based on the TTM, the yearly valuation would be disastrous. So you got to keep that in mind. What do you think about the sticker? Make sure to mention down in the comments below. Share, subscribe, and like, and have a wonderful day. Now, if you're still here on this video, make sure to drop down below and join our Discord. We have a lot of different things going on, including, for instance, members that gives picks for free. It's not pump and dumps, we just things we think about, swings, etc. We also have really exciting bots. You can actually use those ones. For instance, we're just testing out this bot, for instance, that gives you Fibonacci resistance points, activities, etc. And we have a bunch of free things, totally free. We run on tips here, and you can ask me questions, suggest stocks, etc. It's a really nice community that has been growing up very fast at a very good rate, and it's totally free. If you would like to join that one, feel free to do so in the description below, and have a wonderful day.